This is FYI News 13, brought to you by SSPTV and the Hazleton Standard Speaker.
For your information, we'll tell you what was happening in Hazleton for the 4th of July in 1865. We do a fun little time warp on Independence Day next. Happy 4th of July and happy birthday, America. You are still looking good. I'm Ken Kara, and this is the FYI Independence Day special. Thank you for watching. Today is a federal holiday commemorating the adoption of the Declaration of Independence on July 4th, 1776 by the Continental Congress. FYI's Lisa Sugart sat down with a local historian to talk about the significance of this day.
Well, today, of course, is Independence Day, July 4th, and what better guest to have in our studios than our local historian, really, Charles McElwee, who is a member of the Board of Directors for the Greater Hazleton Historical Society and Museum. We thought what better topic to talk about than our own nation's history, the reason behind July 4th.
And happy 4th to you, Lisa. So we'll start off with the national reason for the 4th of July. It goes back to 1776. The 13 colonies in America were weighing, declaring independence from Great Britain. And on July 2nd, 1776, they passed the articles that 2 days later became the Declaration of Independence, which were put together by Thomas Jefferson. And it was an act of declaration from Great Britain and part of the Revolutionary War. But it didn't become a federal holiday for the United States until the early 1940s. But the 4th of July, also known as Independence Day, obviously remains a major celebration of our nation's history, our nation's birth, and really an annual act of patriotism.
Now, unfortunately, I think with today's society, we see a lot of these man-on-the-street interviews on shows and different things, and you ask people, what is the significance of? And a lot of them can't tell you. They go, well, it's the 4th of July, and we have fireworks, and we have picnics, but are you shocked that people really don't know the significance of this day? I'm
not surprised. I mean, I think it's important that we preserve, obviously, our history, and it's important to document it and share it. I mean, just in Hazleton alone, this was always a major celebration. In the Plate Speaker in 1894, they described what the 4th of July festivities were like. And I'll read the excerpt. Hazleton will be alive with patriotism today, the ever-glorious 4th of July. There will be music in the air, flags will be floating, and the snap of a firecracker will be heard, while everybody, big and little, will be on alert to give the great and glorious Independence Day a rousing welcome as it moves along in the cycle of time. There will be no half-heartedness in the manner of the celebration. Hazleton doesn't do things that way. It will be the people's big day out, and from present indications will eclipse any celebration of the national holiday ever held in this city. And parades were a major part of the city celebrations. 7,000 men who are part of over 70 fraternal organizations marched on the city streets, including the Liberty Band.
And that has a strong history because most people around here are familiar with the Liberty Band, but they've done some pretty impressive performances over the years.
They have, and played a role in U.S. history. They date to 1859, and they played for Abraham Lincoln in the nation's capital during the Civil War, right before they marched down to Appomattox to play during Lee's surrender to Ulysses S. Grant that ended the Civil War in 1865. They later played for Theodore Roosevelt, who was in Hazleton in 1902 to negotiate the coal strike, and later for John F. Kennedy when he campaigned at Hazleton in October 1960. So you have this band that has been intact since 1859, and just one of many examples to what made Hazleton the all-American city.
And it's still an all-American city. And if people want to find out more, they should stop down to the museum and do some research on a lot of the history in this area.
Right, we encourage you to come to the museum. We do have operating hours. Karen Izak, who is part of our historical society, she will help you with research, as will Ann Vintieri. And please stop by, check out our Facebook. You don't have to be a member of Facebook to get the information or just take in some of the pictorial history that we present on the page.
Well, thank you for joining us today on this July 4th. Happy July 4th, happy Independence Day to you, and we hope that this will encourage you to learn more about the history, not only of our country, but of the Hazleton area.
I'm going to fail Charles's history class. I said 1865 at the top of the news. It was 1894. My bad, Charles. Moving on, the city of Hazleton is host of a 4th of July celebration today. The festivities were expected to get underway at 4 p.m. with several bands playing. Mayor Jeff Cassatt says that this year's celebration will be more like a block party, and he has moved the event to Center City Park in downtown Hazleton. Food trucks will also participate, or you can dine at local restaurants. And the highlight will, of course, be the huge fireworks display tonight at 9:45 p.m. Come celebrate our nation's independence tonight in downtown Hazleton. And speaking of fireworks, here's a list of displays taking place throughout the area. Coming up next, after taking the holiday weekend off, PennDOT will be hard at work the rest of the week and the rest of the summer. We'll talk about summer construction after the break. In sports, find out how NFL great Jesse Armstead made me cry in 1992. It's a funny story. He's a very, very, very nice man. I have an extended interview with him and fellow Super Bowl champion Antonio Pierce coming up.
This is FYI News 13, brought to you by SSPTV and the Hazleton Standard Speaker.
Core Fitness has a special promotion worth celebrating, a special 6-week program of fun and fitness for girls ages 13 through 17. Beautiful Boot Camp starts this Wednesday, July 6th through August 12th. The program is led by certified instructor Nicole Samick. Classes are Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays from 10:30 a.m. until 11:30 a.m. No prior athleticism is needed. The cost is $130 and includes a t-shirt. Call to reserve your spot, and don't forget to bring your friends. For more information, call Core Fitness at 570-455-7818 or stop in at Core Fitness, 711 West Broad Street in Hazleton.
As you celebrate the July 4th holiday, keep in mind that there is no construction on the Pennsylvania highways today. However, that is not the case for the remainder of the year. Here to tell us all about it and what you need to know as you head out so that you can be safe and keep our construction workers safe as well is James May, Regional Press Officer for PennDOT. So the roadways are clear today for happy trailing, happy trails for everybody to go out safely, but then construction kicks back into full gear.
What's that joke we hear about around here a lot of times? There's two seasons, winter and construction. And one of the things that we do really try to do is that over the major holidays like the 4th of July and Memorial Day, we did the same type of thing. Labor Day, we'll do the same type of thing, is that we try to get all of the workers off of the interstates. Now, they'll be still working on some of the back roads over the weekend and things, but we really try to clear that up just because there are so many vehicles out there on the roads. Typically, a road like Interstate 81 will have about, in this area, about 70 to 80,000 cars per day, and that will increase then obviously over the holidays. So that's when we will always try to get our vehicles off of the roads. There are certain places just south of here when you're going down towards Schuylkill County that there are permanent patterns in place. And one of the things with that is if there, and it'll be down there in Schuylkill County, out in Pike County in this area is another area where they're literally ripping out bridges, ripping out the road. And some people will call and say, well, why don't you just put it back, during the busy time here? Well, it's a bridge that is missing, so we don't want the cars going there, obviously. So you still will run into some long-term patterns where there is some traffic and due to the construction, but we try to get all of the short-term patterns cleared. So If you want to stay up to date on what's taking place, from our office, we send out a weekly report. You can just email me directly, jamay@pa.gov. I know people get frustrated with traffic, and I know they get frustrated with construction, but many times, if you at least know what to anticipate, it makes it a little bit easier. So that's a way that we try to look ahead and say, here's what we're planning. And I will warn you that, right after the 4th of July weekend, this is a time that, there's been a number of projects that we have sitting on the desk right now ready to go, but we said let's hold off a little bit just so we don't start something and then stop right before the 4th of July. So there's going to be a lot of stuff taking place across the region. So Luzerne County, Lackawanna County, throughout the entire region here, a lot of work will be taking place. So if you want to stay updated, email me, jamay@pa.gov, and we'll send you that release out every Friday to let you know what to anticipate. There's also a really good website, 511pa.com, and you can get the app. It's a 511pa app as well, and that sends you a lot of automated information, so as soon as something takes place. So it's a way that you can kind of look ahead to plan what's coming, and then to actually look right there and to see what's taking place. And there's other private apps as well that can do the same thing. So just trying to let people know what to expect as they're heading out for the remainder of the summer here.
And one other last word of advice, we want the workers to stay safe, so people have to abide the speed restrictions that are put in place because of the construction.
One of the scariest things that I've done in my job is to go out and to stand alongside some of these workers, either for stories or for other reasons. And when you're standing there and you see people literally flying through some of these work zones, you'll see people putting on makeup, many people on their cell phones as they're driving through here. And you think the only thing separating these workers from a car that's flying through here is a couple orange cones. And when you stand out there, you really begin to realize the necessity of people putting down their cell phones, paying attention. That should be true anytime you're on the road, but especially in a work zone, because it's a new traffic pattern, there's changes taking place, and there are literally dozens of men and women standing just a few feet away from you with nothing but an orange cone and a yellow safety vest to protect them from your car. So please, 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 when you're going through these work zones, slow down and really pay attention to what you're doing. These are men and women that want to get home to their families just like you want to get to your family. And I know that many times we're in a rush as we go through there because we're heading to something important, but keep in mind these are men and women that have things that they need to get to as well.
Great advice from James May from PennDOT. Please plan ahead, know what you're facing when you go out there construction-wise so that everybody can stay safe.
What's more American than a stop at Valley High on Route 93 in West Hazleton, offering all-American favorites, ice cream, french fries, and more. Treat yourself today at Valley High. We have a treat for you in the Sportscast, an extended interview with two NFL greats when we come back.
This is FYI News 13 Sports.
Welcoming back two Super Bowl champions here who now have a claim in the Hazleton area. Two former NFL players who have the Hazleton Auto Mall in town. Just hosted a day of play in the area. It was great talking with Jesse Armstead and, of course, Antonio Pierce over here. Two guys very familiar with the NFC East. Both played at Washington Redskins, New York Giants. Never Philadelphia, though. But I want to start over here, Jesse. Let's talk about the NFC East. It seems, maybe just because I'm in the middle of it, but those rivalries seem intense and great. Is that what they're like in the field as well when you step out there against the Eagles, against the Redskins?
Absolutely. It's very intense. Especially when you deal with the starting with the Eagles and then go down the road, it's the Redskins. So, and we hate the dreaded little Cowboys. But
Don't even mention them. You see how it is up here, man.
Oh, yeah, you're absolutely right. But it's a tense game. It's a game that both sides want to win. But as long as the Giants come out on top, that's the only thing that counts.
You guys come here, Hazleton area. I'm sure a lot of Eagles fans. What is that like now, your post-career? I mean, do you have some fun with some of the Eagles fans and that? Did the rivalry stay alive? Is it more fun now?
Well, I think, for us, when you win Super Bowls, and regardless of how many Super Bowls you won back in the past, it's about lately. What have you done for me lately? And really, the only team in the NFC East that's won is the New York Giants. So you got a little bragging rights there. It's always fun to talk to the guys from the Eagles and the Cowboys. But more important, you have respect for one another. I mean, those games twice a year against all those teams. You're going to be bruised. You're going to be sore the next day. it's one of those violent games that going into the game, pop a couple Advil, a little bit more massages going into that game and that week afterwards. But it's a great rivalry because there's so much history and so much rich tradition between both and all those organizations that I think for every Sunday that you get a chance to watch an NFC team go against one another, it's good football.
But it seems like quietly the Giants just win these Super Bowls and have this great franchise. What did they do? What are they doing so well in New York?
I'll be honest, and it's not a knock to the other organizations. I think it starts with ownership. It's the way that team is ran, from the mayors and the Tisch, and then, fall down with Coach Coughlin, who won both Super Bowls, a guy who went through hell for the most part with that city and the town constantly want to kick him out. But more importantly, the team, the group of guys he had in that locker room, the facility, they believed in him. I think each time you saw a team, where they were kind of struggling, kind of rally at the end, and that's the key ingredient of a leader. When things get tough, how do you really respond? And I think that's the biggest difference is ownership and your head coach.
Now, Jesse, you played at the U for the University of Miami. Great teams, late 80s, early 90s. And before we got here, I said, man, you made me cry. 1992, Beaver Stadium. Joe Paterno, who never really made a huge deal out of anything, made a big deal out of this game against the Miami Hurricanes. You guys come into Beaver Stadium and beat Penn State. Obviously, Penn State, a big name around here. Do you remember that day? Do you remember going up there and playing Penn State?
Absolutely. One thing you can remember, at least we won the national championship. So you say that's the team that won. Yep. But it was a great game, and Joe always had the boys ready to go, and I tell you what, that's the hardest game we had to play all year.
What was your time like at Miami, winning those national championships, major college football? There was documentaries on the University of Miami and those times when you guys were the best teams in the league. What was it like at the U? It
was great because no matter where we went, we was known as the bad boys, and everybody hated us, but we always found a way to win the games and play in national championships and bring the championship home.
And I want to come back over here now to Antonio and talk about your time with the Giants, winning those Super Bowls. Let's go to the first one. Patriots, I think we were saying, undefeated, everyone talking about them. You guys came into the game, did you know, hey, we got this?
Well, I think, after week 17 when we played them that last game, when they were going to be 16-0 and they pretty much sold out our stadium with their fans, we played that game very hard. We fought all the way to the end. We lost by a couple points. But in that game, it made us realize that if this is the best of the best, if we get another opportunity with a couple, adjustments here and there that, we could win. And lucky enough for us, we got past Tampa Bay, we got past the Cowboys, got past the Packers, and we got that team again. Then you get a bye, so you got more time to prepare. But I think when you're familiar with the team and you can now match up and say, all right, look, let's move this chess piece over here, let's do that. That was the difference in the game. When we played those guys the second time, was just making those adjustments, moving to certain players, like Justin Tuck, moving him inside on a matchup that we knew that he would just destroy, and then just taking away the deep ball, which kind of hurt us in the first game. So, it's one of those things where you don't, I can sit here and say, yeah, I knew he was going to win, but you're nervous because, obviously that was one of the better teams that you've ever seen in the National Football League by how they were playing, beating guys by 20-plus points each and every game. But I think what you saw was two good teams competing. You saw a guy in Tom Brady, a future Hall of Famer, and a young gun, and Eli Manning, stepping up in the 2-minute drill, making plays.
I believe, was it 2007, the year of the catch? Was that the Super Bowl? Where were you when that happened? What were you doing? Were you on the sideline?
Yeah, I had. First of all, I had a towel on my head. I was kind of depressed because we just gave up that only touchdown in the fourth quarter. But I was sitting here right around the 45 on the opposite sideline, and first thing I thought when Eli threw it up, I was like, God, we threw the game away. Interception, because you throw a ball in the middle of the field, nothing good ever happens. But the second bad thing is we threw it to David Tyree, who couldn't catch a cold that week. But then luckily for him, he had all this gum and all this magic glue on his helmet. So it worked out for us. It's one of those things that it doesn't matter how many Super Bowls go by, that moment just replays over and over in everybody's head because it was such a special moment. 3rd and 10, big play, 2-minute drive, fourth quarter to win the game, to put you in a situation to win the game. I don't think it's any bigger than that.
That's incredible. And as for you win the Super Bowl with a different role with the New York Giants, not on the playing field. But what was that kind of like, looking at football from that side?
Well, it was a great. I wanted to be out there, but you know what? Sometimes you have to live through others to accomplish what you wanted. But when we gave up that touchdown, like Antonio said, I'm like, oh man, it brought me all the way back to 2000. We lost to the Baltimore Ravens. I'm like, oh, and we found a way with the catch to get us in a position to win the Super Bowl. So I'm like, hey, I'm fortunate I got 2 Super Bowl rings now, so I can't argue with it.
What is your official title with the Giants then?
I'm a special assistant for the New York Giants.
All right, that's very neat. And I want to ask you, Antonio brought up something interesting in our last interview we did. Players post-playing days. I talked to a lot of people today who said you were coming to the air, and a lot of people say, oh, it's good to see NFL players doing well post-career. It seems like something, it has to be hard, all the exposure, all the limelight. What advice do you give to players or maybe guys who are in the league now? I
just say you look at other guys, like myself and Antonio, and use us as trailblazers, guys that went out and decided we want to have a career after football. It's a hard transition, but accept it, embrace it, and make sure you surround yourself with good people and, just go after it the same way you did in the game of football with the same kind of attitude.
What was your favorite moment from playing? Do you have a memory that you always look back to, a story that you would tell?
I think my memory is just every day I walked out on the football field. I was the last round draft choice. Antonio was undrafted. So every time we walked on the football field was a special moment for us. And anytime we still can walk on the football field, we just know it's special because we came a long ways in the game of football. Both of us became all-pro linebackers and both of us won Super Bowls. So it's a great moment.
And last thing, Antonio, I want to ask you, high school sports, so big around here. Our football team trying to rebuild at the Hazleton Area High School. Do you remember those days? playing like that? Do you have fond memories of playing when you were younger?
Yeah, because you know what? You didn't have the great facilities. I remember the Mud Bowl, the Dust Bowl. I remember all those things and just, saying one day, I want to make it to college, play on a better turf and be on TV and then, hopefully make the pros. But, for all those high school guys, what I'll tell them first and foremost is, take care of school. Like we're talking about now, post-career, you got to be educated. You got to know what you're doing. You got to have a goal opposite of sports. Sports teaches you so many things about life, but you need those other things that school gives you that you can't get on a football field. And I think when you mix those two together, obviously with sports and school, it's a great winning success story for a lot of guys because you see some of the most successful people come from a team background. And I think, for a high school kid, just stay focused, listen to mom and dad, listen to the coach, regardless if he played in the pros like us or if he was just a janitor. He's volunteering, he's giving you time. He's taking time out of his day to make you a better person, I think, more importantly. So what I'll tell those guys, enjoy the moment, enjoy being a 15, 16, 17, 18-year-old kid, because when it's gone, it's gone.
Great. Two great guys, two great football players as well. Happy to have you both part of the Hazleton area community. When it comes Mondays can be rough, but you can end them on a high note. Seafood night at Bottlenecks. Choose from crab, clam, shrimp, and lobster specials, such as their little neck clams in garlic butter, only $1.95 a dozen, or handmade crab cake platter for only $8.95. And finally, every Independence Day, I think about Bill Pullman's legendary speech in the movie Independence Day. Posted a great article from complex.com on our Facebook page all about how the speech came about and the impact it had on real-life politics. Michael Waldman, President Bill Clinton's director of speech writing from 1995 to 1999, is featured in the article. He gives some interesting takes and says that he wrote a book filled with great presidential speeches, and if the world had been invaded by aliens, he would have included the speech from Independence Day in the book. Well, we will not go quietly into the night. We will not vanish without a fight. We will be back on Tuesday. We'll see you then. Have a good 4th. Take it easy.
You never really know when it begins.
Only that joint pain starts to take control.
You become a spectator of your own life. Then you realize it's time.
Take back your time with Coordinated Health.